This week, we received a scolding from the government spokesman about our whining, complaining ways. He reminded us of our patriotic duty to pay our taxes and smile about it. How else would they get their salaries if we don't pay our taxes? How else would we get roads and schools? He even reminded us that those in Europe pay more taxes than we do and that we should be grateful to be paying less. That we should stand firm and support our government. Now, in the world of communications, there are a few things like tone and timing. And there is such a thing as reading the room. So let's take a look at the room that is Kenya, shall we? You see, Kenyans are just about at their wits' end. This increase in fuel prices couldn't have come at a worse time. We're only just beginning to come to terms with a return to the old higher tax regime. The situation made even harder because many employees are still on salary cuts. Worse still is that many more have no work at all. If the numbers from the Federation of Kenya Employers are anything to go by, they estimate that up to 2 million Kenyans lost their jobs in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic. Many businesses have also just simply had to close shop. Now, worse still is not even that the fuel prices have increased, but that almost 50% of the cost of a litre of fuel goes into taxes. The situation does not get any better when we look across our borders and see that our neighboring countries are paying less than we are for fuel. Fuel prices in Tanzania, for instance, are up to 30 shillings less than in Kenya for every litre. In fact, we probably have the highest fuel prices in the East African region, mostly driven by taxes. And just when we thought we were trying to come to terms with the tough economic times, we now have to deal with a third wave of the pandemic, just when we thought we might be out of the woods. Guys, we've been through it all in the last year. We've lost loved ones and other people we know to COVID-19. Our mental health has been shaken, what with the high rates of suicide, murders, and other crimes that we've witnessed in the last year alone. So maybe this would not have been the best time to tell us that we should not be crying or comparing us to European countries, as if that is supposed to make us feel better when we look enviously at our neighbors right here in the region paying much less for such a basic commodity as fuel. Listen, many Kenyans would happily walk to the Times Towers to pay their taxes if they saw value for money. So maybe this would be a good time to remind the good spokesman about the scandals we have seen with Eurobond, or shall we call it Eurobondage, whose results we can barely see, where even the Auditor General has raised questions. Let's also remind him that questions still remain on just how much we leveraged for the loan to build the SGR, whether we signed off on important government infrastructure, and whether in fact that was a viable venture to begin with, seeing as it's not creating enough revenue to pay for itself in its last 4 years of operation. All of these we are already paying for, dutifully I might add, through our taxes. Oh, and how many times rather, have we been told that a big percentage of our income, that's our taxes, is lost through corruption? In fact, didn't the president, who happens to be the boss of Cyrus Oguna, tell us himself that we lose 2 billion shillings a day through corruption? So that's 2 billion shillings of the taxes we pay basically being stolen. And yet we are the ones told to stop crying? I'll tell you what, when they stop stealing, we will stop crying. And when they're accountable for the taxes we pay, then we will do more to, quote, stand firm with our government. Kenyans aren't asking for too much, just that the taxes they pay be used for their intended purpose. That the government, starting with its leaders at the top, does not seem helpless when those taxes are being stolen on a daily basis. Kenyans are standing firm with their government by paying their taxes. But is the government standing firm with us? That is my take tonight.